Hey everybody, welcome to Podcast Unlocked, episode 262. Why?
I was speaking when you did it. I was saying
totally fine.
Definitely.
No, that's how it works. I am one of your hosts, Marty Sliva, joined alongside Alana Pierce.
Great.
Sean Finnegan.
Hello.
Ryan is in New York at the PlayStation meeting.
And obviously we're off to a great start without him. I said definitely when you started.
Yeah, I feel like you could have just rolled through it and it would have been totally fine, but you just keep acknowledging it.
Ryan wouldn't have. R.I.P.
Well, a lot of things are different. You can't say R.I.P. when I said he was already at a thing.
Yeah, but he died afterwards.
No.
He is in New York.
Someone who did pass away.
Destin
Legary.
Yes.
Yeah. No, he's
also not
He's
dead.
in Seattle at a Bungie thing. Why aren't you at that Bungie thing?
Travel budget, I guess.
Yeah. Wasn't in your destiny.
This is true. Well
like
done, Marty.
It's a bit of a slow news week on the Xbox side, but all three of us were up in Seattle at PAX over the weekend,
Yes.
And we got to see some cool Xbox stuff, so we're just going to sort of talk about what we did up there, and then answer some questions, and talk about our IGN first that Sean and I went on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
so immediately, I guess the big video for us, I don't know if you guys have had a chance to check views, but the 24 minutes of Gears of War 4 Horde mode gameplay, which we all were on
That
the
was
same
us.
team
Yeah.
for,
Yeah.
that's done crazy
well on
amount
YouTube.
of views. Yeah.
So they debuted Gears of War 4's Horde 3.0 mode at PAX, and 5 of us got to go hands-on with a 10-wave round, which we succeeded.
And it was really good.
Yeah, it was so fun. It was one of those things, I forgot how much I loved Horde mode in Gears 2, and then I played this, and I'm like, oh my god, I adored that mode.
Man, it's also been a really long time since I played Gears, and I was like, wait, how do I do this?
Yep.
There was so many things that I forgot how to do. Like I didn't remember how to counter a chainsaw.
Totally, yeah.
So if someone came up and chainsawed me, I was like, well, I'm in half now.
Yeah.
There's no returning from
Yeah.
this.
I must have annoyed you guys to hell with all the questions I was asking, because I, again, have not played Gears since the very first Gears, and there were a lot of things I didn't know how to do.
Yeah.
But it was really cool to jump in and experiment with all this stuff, and it reminded me how much I miss just cooperative PV, like cooperative PvP.
Yeah.
Like it's player versus, I mean, it's...
5v the world.
Yeah, like it's hard to, I don't really know how to say it's, because it's not exactly PvP because it's players versus the environment, but it's not exactly PvE either because you're cooperating with other players. So that's cool. And there, you see that a lot with like Halo had that, has Warzone Firefight. Destiny is basically this type of game, cooperative all the way through.
Yeah.
Left 4 Dead. Like it's a lot of fun. And to see it in Gears is something I had not personally experienced since I wasn't around for when Horde mode was introduced.
Right, that was 2.
And so it was a brand new experience for me. The variety of weapons was really cool. The strategy in gathering the power that you get from killing enemies and then investing that into defense and structure.
New. We should talk about that.
Yeah, so there's a couple new things. Right off the bat, there's a class system.
Yes.
So there's 5 different classes, which range from sort of just
you
soldier.
Were a heavy.
Yeah.
I was a soldier. I think you were a soldier, and I think Andrew went with the
sniper. And there's engineer, and and when you choose a class, you also sort of choose these cards, which are like unlockable perks.
Yes.
For a sniper, it was exploding headshots. For a soldier, it could be added buffs on an successful active reloads.
I think we started with 3 card slots, but you can upgrade to 5 or unlock 5.
Yeah, as you level up sort of your meta character.
And there are different cards, and you unlock more cards as you go as well. So they're just like buffs, basically, which I really liked.
And each slot has like, at least what we saw there were like 7 or 8 cards that you could use to customize which slot you have, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, but
I think I catered mine to active reloads.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you have that muscle memory down.
What were the heavy weapon ones?
I was actually a soldier as well.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, I didn't play as heavy.
I don't remember who was the heavy then, but
might have been Brian.
Yeah,
probably really was because he was destroying everyone.
But despite the fact that you choose a class at the beginning, it is still a little bit fluid in terms of you could pick up any weapons that enemies drop, so you do adapt throughout the round to sort of what the battlefield caters.
Classes are kind of wise when you think about it compared to other games that have classes, because it's not like the heavy's not like a tank. They don't have more health or anything like that.
It's sort of just a loadout.
It's basically a loadout. But I think the perks, like when we unlock more of them and see, obviously we were just like playing from the very, very start on the base. I think it probably will vary as you like level up through the game.
Also, to call it class based is a little bit of a misnomer, because you're right, there aren't it's not so distinct. Like every class can still use all of the weapons, so there's no limitations that way.
You can swap between each other if you wanted to.
Exactly.
But then when you when you first get into a game, you place this. What was the thing called? Not the regenerator, but
Fabricator.
That's
yeah. And so, which is sort of just like a giant coffin war chest.
Yeah.
And
they described it to us as like the futuristic 3D printer.
Yeah.
That just like generates for you weapons and defense systems.
Yeah.
And
And you choose. So we were able to choose where we placed it. It just couldn't like be touching a wall, but it's like, do you want it all the way back in a corner, or do you want it a little closer to where the action's going to be?
Yeah. I think we did actually place it a little bit too far back.
I think we did, yeah, because the way it works is that enemies drop power when you kill them, or when you kill an enemy, you'll just get power, which is a currency, and you run back and sort of put it deposit it into your war chest, and then you can use that to refill ammo or buy turrets or buy reinforcements like spikes on the ground, and so like it can't be destroyed.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is like you use it to fortify yourself.
Yeah. And that was exactly my thing. Is like the reason I was so adamant about having us put it far back was because I thought like, oh, this is what the Horde is going to try and destroy. Like they're going to run to it and destroy it, and then we lose.
Yeah.
So I was like,
no, they just want to destroy
put
us.
it against a wall where they have to funnel to go get it, and then once like by the third round, I was like, man, I have to run pretty far back.
It was too far because we were all like kind of. I don't know the name of the map, so this wouldn't even be a good explanation. But it was very even. I want to say it was it was symmetrical. So we were like up as far as we could get before the middle lane sort of thing, and they were doing the exact same thing and just flanking us from the sides. And the thing we would trying to get resources from was at the very,
all the way back. And so in order to get resources, we pretty much had to abandon the firefight, and you had to abandon your post.
In the back,
or you let one of the lanes open and they just come flooding through.
But I love that different maps, the strategy that you would have for that would vary. And it could also vary depending on the loadout as well.
Yeah, or vary depending on the player, or like I could totally see us becoming more communicative and being like, all right, I have to run back to the thing, so guard my lane as I'm watching this.
And I think the same applies to the stuff that you buy, because if somebody died and you went and picked up that cog tag, you could spend money to bring them back to life.
Yeah.
Which is super valuable in Horde mode, but also a very expensive thing to do. And I think it was the more often you did it, the more expensive it got.
It went up with every revive. And so, but then as long as you survive the wave, even if one person survives the wave, everyone else is revived.
Yeah.
I thought it was super fun. I thought the power curve of the waves was really intense. Like the first couple were super easy, and then by the end, like we were making it through with 2 or 3 people alive.
I mean, there was on like 8, 9, and 10. There was definitely a point where like most of us were down, and we were all crawling back to where everyone was staked out.
That was pretty full on because we were like trying to manage to get to one person who would pick us all up, and when we did, it was super triumphant. Like it was really intense.
It tossed a ton of the enemies at you. It progressed, from the Lambent to the
different enemies,
the DBs.
Ones that we hadn't seen. I felt like the DBs actually shooting at them almost just kind of felt like reskin locusts. Like when you're shooting at them, they don't really behave too differently.
Yeah, I feel like
they exploded.
I feel like they had a less. Whereas locusts, if you're shooting at them, a lot of times they will try to take cover, move out of the way.
True.
These are robots that just didn't care.
That's a good point.
They were sort of like the Terminator, where they would just keep walking forward.
The locusts are actually might even be noticeably smarter in this game. I think.
Yeah.
The AI actually seemed pretty good.
Is that what your name is?
The Lambent are explodey locusts.
Oh.
I don't know if we had any Lambent, actually, because realistically, Lambent should be gone.
Yeah, we had the exploding enemies were there was the robot balls that would roll up to you, and then they would start ticking, and you'd have to like roll out of the way before they exploded.
Or you can kick them into your enemies, which is really cool.
Oh, what a stressful moment that is, like when you hear the ticking, and you're like,
I don't know which way I'm rolling, but I'm just going to keep rolling backwards. Yeah, and then there was those like dog enemies that would jump on.
They have tails that throw stuff at you, and if it hits, the kind of area effect is just it flames.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really know how that works.
Yeah, and they were really fast. There were flying drones that had shields, and then there was sort of the boss. Every 10 waves, you get a boss, and this boss was this huge, slow-moving, I think it was called the Carrier. It was this giant, slow-moving blob that sort of just, like, inched its way across and took all of our bullets. It was just a giant
explode. The thing that was really interesting about it was, like, he forced you out of your cover because he'd hurl these big balls of goo at you, and if the goo hits anywhere near you, it causes, like, a corrosive acid on the ground, and you can't stand in it, or else you'll take damage over time, and kind of a lot of damage. Like if you don't jump out of it almost instantly, you're gonna die.
Yeah, the first time that he threw something at me and I started taking damage, I was like, "What the hell is this?" And I turn around, there's this giant thing there.
Yeah, you're like, "Oh."
It's also apparently that guy. It didn't happen to any of us, but he can swallow you. And then you will be inside of his stomach, still alive, but you can't do anything. But it's transparent, so you can still see all of the other players looking at you.
I love that. That's so cool.
Like I'm disappointed that didn't happen to me because I feel like maybe if they killed it, they could like cut you out of its stomach.
Yeah.
That would be
awesome.
so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it was super fun. I'm gonna play so much of this mode.
I'm so excited about PS4.
Yeah. This is the Gears game that's gonna draw me back in, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean everything that we did last month with IGN First was super cool. I'm stoked for the campaign. I'm stoked for Horde. I'm excited to see the new characters.
Multiplayer maps all look really cool, and the lore seems really interesting too. Like I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I'm stoked. We're just a month out.
Yeah. But whenever I'm this excited about something, I'm always worried that I'm going to get disappointed because 90% of the time I do.
You can't disappoint a picture.
You can't disappoint a picture.
Yeah. Gears.
Community, anyone?
Yeah, I did.
You like
Community? I knew it. Yeah. That's
why you made the reference?
That's why I said it. Yeah. Titular hero community. Yeah, that was Gears. That was sort of the big Microsoft game at their booth. They also had Battlefield 1, Recore, sort of same demos that we've seen before.
Yeah.
Sean, you shot a bunch of pics of limited edition consoles that are coming out this fall.
Yeah, I mean, there were 7 consoles there on display at the Microsoft booth. Recore, Final Fantasy 15, Forza,
most of them look kind of junky, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
they look a little bit cheap.
You'd be surprised how not good the Xbox One S looks in anything but white, essentially.
Yeah. I think the one that I liked the look of was Sea of Thieves.
Because it's simplistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, also, I mean, the Recore one I thought looked pretty cool because it was just... Oh, wait, no, was it Recore? I can't remember, but one of the white consoles, either Final Fantasy 15 or Recore, has... It looks just like an Xbox One, except where... on the sort of sheen white part of the console, there's just like some really cool art, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of people who were in the comments who saw that video weren't exactly sold on the look, and truth be told, like in person, neither was I.
Yeah, I wasn't either, and I usually love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I bought tons of faceplates in 360.
Yeah,
like,
I'm at a point where I'm totally fine with my launch Xbox One.
Me too.
I like the simplicity, I think, but it's also like you could sell me on a certain kind of console.
I mean, the S looks awesome. If I didn't have Xbox,
I mean,
I'd totally just get a
edition
regular
consoles.
S.
Like, I think just because a lot of them look bad doesn't mean they can't look good, right? Like the Gears of War 4 one that we like this. It's like a collector's edition one that they're releasing alongside the game that we ran an article on IGN about. Like that one looks awesome.
Yeah.
It's like a deep red and black console that looks super cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the ones that we saw on the floor were not all that impressive.
Yeah, I mean,
it just looks like
I'm totally fine just
stickers
holding
on them, I think. But yeah, I'm not saying that they can't look pretty. Just those designs.
Well, especially knowing that in a year or whatever, we're gonna have a Scorpio, whatever the hell that is. That I'm totally fine not buying a new Xbox.
Yeah.
Before that.
Should we talk about that a little? About the Neo event that just finished and how that
we can render a
thought,
right?
I mean, we did a post show on Beyond that you can check out for full impressions.
So as we're recording this, the Neo event, which was called what, PlayStation Meeting?
I guess it's called it's not called the Neo, I guess.
Yeah, the PlayStation Pro.
Yeah,
PlayStation 4 Pro, right?
And we didn't really get a whole lot of information about specs. So
they did afterwards.
Oh, afterwards.
Yeah, they released them afterwards. And we're running a story right now. Andrew talked to someone from Microsoft, and Microsoft is extremely confident that the Scorpio is more powerful in literally every way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that surprises anyone, right? It's going to release a year later. Microsoft would not have come out and definitively said this is the most powerful console ever made if they weren't absolutely sure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I think. I don't think I'm out of line when I say I think a lot of people, most people, the majority of people who were looking at this event were kind of lukewarm after it.
Yeah, I don't think it was a bad event, but I was kind of bored. But
I was kind of bored. I don't have a 4K TV, so that's not good.
I would say, it wasn't for me.
It got me excited about specific games that I was already excited about.
Yeah, so that's my thing. Is like the games look great, but I mean, to me, they don't look any better or worse than what I would have expected them to look like on Xbox One or PlayStation 4.
It's hard to show that on a stream.
Basically,
absolutely. When am I not watching on 4K TVs?
I'm lukewarm about PS4 because I remain unconvinced about 4K and HDR, and that's basically all they focused on.
Right, I feel the same way about Scorpio. Like it's like we don't really know what that's offering, but if it's HDR and 4K, then
it's also really
it's cool, but it's not worth the amount of money it might cost.
It's also hard for me to imagine a world in which we're racing towards 4K and HDR, but 1080p 60 still remains not quite the standard. Like we can't even quite get to 1080p 60 on current gen hardware.
It does seem
and
crazy.
Yet here we are, like already. It's like you show up to the game but you forgot the ball, right? Like you're trying to go faster than the market is willing to go.
Yeah.
I just 2 years ago bought a 60-inch 1080p TV that's top of the line, and I do not plan to let go of that thing or change anything with the current setup for another 10 years. So I'm not even interested in that regard. So it's like. And I would call myself like generally an early adopter of this kind of stuff. So I think Sony and Microsoft need to make a stronger case for 4K and HDR and really wow me with what it can contribute, because right now it just seems like an incremental upgrade, and I do not like incremental upgrades.
After that conference, I kind of feel like the way that the PlayStation Pro is being handled, and thus maybe also Scorpio, because obviously they had the same thing in mind by making these kind of iterative consoles, is this is an option for a hardcore consumer who likes this kind of stuff. You don't have to get it. And I'm okay with that.
I'm also perfectly fine with how the games I'm currently playing look.
That's the thing, is
Battlefield
like,
1 looks incredible.
Also, the
Gears looks
Xbox
incredible.
One S is very impressive.
Yeah.
I've always found the claim that we should be more focused on the number of lines of resolution and how many frames we can get onto the screen in these games as a measure of how quality the game is. I've always found that to be a dubious claim, right? Because like Chrono Trigger has, it's what, 340 by 240 pixels, and it's better than almost all of the games that have come out this generation, right? So I don't think that is really a benchmark for success in terms of the quality of the game. And I think that so much focus on the technical prowess is actually a little bit detrimental, right?
Yeah, I mean we've talked about this, I feel like 1,000 times
I
on the
agree,
show.
but I also like...
A lot of people disagree with us.
Yes.
Like a lot of people obviously are super enthusiastic about it, and that's totally fine. That's your prerogative, but I care more about the games than what device the game is on.
Yeah, but I think it's also important to continue pushing hardware as
so
good as we can get it.
I don't want to downplay the importance of the technical prowess of these consoles, because gaming, unlike any other technology, artistic medium out there, is that it's evolved hand in hand with the technology, which is like it's just to say, like in movies, right? The creative aspect always pushed the technology forward, where here it goes back and forth, right?
Well,
like,
it's definitely not like that because PC is so far ahead.
Well, that's what I mean. Is like, so before you wanted to do things on film, like for instance, James Cameron and Avatar, right? Like he couldn't make that movie when he had the screenplay because the technology just didn't exist yet, right? Whereas the technology now in video games empowers creators to do to bring their imaginations into these games, whereas it just evolves hand in hand, right? So it's not totally unimportant, but my point is too much focus on it when the content doesn't necessarily benefit from it. That's a little bit of a problem for me.
Yeah, for sure. But again, we don't really know where this is going. Just kind of wanted to address that if we're comparing the Pro and the Scorpio, at this point, to me, it doesn't even seem like that's fair.
At this point,
I feel like
the Pro's
they are almost
a
different things.
Well, the Pro is almost more of a comparison to the S.
Yes.
A lot of people, that's exactly it.
And the
like,
Slim is a replacement for the PS4, basically, because it's called the PS4.
Yeah, it's just
I don't think that refresh. The race that we imagined even really exists.
Larry Herb actually put out a tweet like saying, you want 4K, you want HDR, buy an Xbox One S because it does those things right now. So a lot of people are actually making that the more comparison. I don't think you can compare it to Scorpio because we don't really know what Scorpio is yet. But I think
haven't even seen it.
And I imagine we won't until next E3.
Ryan tweeted out after the event that the onus is now on Microsoft to make Scorpio not seem like an iterative upgrade and more of like a big leap forward, which is totally true.
Yeah.
We'll see. More hardware.
I'm excited to not have to talk about hardware for a simple one time.
Another one of the games I got to see at PAX was I got to play the first hour and a half of Final Fantasy 15, which we've talked about a lot. This is the first time I've got to play.
How many times have you played that game now?
Many, several, a lot.
Yes.
It's just really cool. I mean, I've said that 1,000 times. Like, I'm totally fine with it getting pushed the 2 months for a final round of polish. I'm really stoked about those characters.
When's it coming out now?
The end of November.
Oh, yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. One of the cool things we got out of an interview with Tabata is that he said that the game takes place over the course of 10 years. And so that the kids who are sort of seemingly like late teenagers, early 20s are going to be in like near 30 by the end of the game, which I think is cool.
That is really cool.
Kind of cool to see your party evolve from sort of Noctis being like a bratty prince to becoming like the...
Or maybe they start out that way.
Father.
It's like Naruto.
But then they become...
It's just like Naruto.
You watch Naruto?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the Shippudens?
Yeah, the Shippudens.
Yeah. I don't think you said that right.
The Shippudens?
Shippudens.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Shippuden.
That just presents the creators with a lot of opportunity to really delve into character arcs that are really interesting.
Yeah, I think it's cool. And that's sort of
Yeah.
the big RPG, obviously, this fall in the West, because Persona 5 is coming out, but not
Yes, but that's
until.
what, February next
it's coming
year
out.
here?
It's coming out in a couple of days in Japan, but not to
Yeah, when is it coming out here? It's
February. Valentine's Day.
Yep, that's right.
Andrew already has plans.
Yes, that is Andrew Goldflob's Valentine's Day present to himself.
Yep. Another very different game from Final Fantasy 15 that Sean got to see was Sonic Mania.
Yeah, so I had an NES growing up and a Genesis, but I loved Sonic growing up. The first 3 games are like, they're built into my DNA, written into my DNA as a gamer. And so Sonic Mania, I was, as everyone should be, skeptical of a Sonic game because traditionally the last 15 years they have not been all that great, or let's call it forgettable. But this was actually really, really cool. We got to play 2 levels. One was like a remix of the Green Hill Zone from Sonic, the original.
I love Green Hill Zone.
Yeah, the music was on par. It's the original sort of like more polished, but definitely in the same art style as the original trilogy. 2D side-scrolling. It feels fast, but not unfair.
It's because he's got to go fast.
And it requires, it actually has a couple of mechanics that appear later on in games, and that's really cool. There's this new like air dash type thing where if you jump and then you jump again and hold the button, when you land, you zoom off and it gives you like a little bit of a boost. Adds a little bit of depth to the platforming, which is awesome, and it allows you to kind of like vault over things really quickly and just basically keep your movement up the whole time and not get stopped by like rocks or things that Sonic can't just run through. So that was cool. And then we played another map, which I believe is called Staropolis. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's a brand new level, again, in the same art style, where it's kind of like TV and broadcast themed. You're kind of being shot around with like radio waves, and you're entering like, there's like bad guys that project TV and like film images and stuff, and you're riding around on like film strips and stuff. It's really, really cool. And I think it kind of nails the original feel of what Sonic is, but it's all new art, all new music, all new like an entirely new level, which was cool.
Yeah, sort of in keeping of the spirit of the originals.
Yeah, it feels like it fits right in there. And again, like, it just, I don't know, man, like it's kind of mind-boggling to me that it took them this long to realize like Sonic works best when it is his regular old 2D fast-moving character.
I think that kids, like, and they're trying to market Sonic to kids, is my guess, is that they think kids don't like those kinds of games. That's legitimately what I think it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be right.
Like, oh,
right?
well,
and I mean,
obviously people who grew up with Sonic really like that kind of stuff, and like I would be happy to have Sonic like that, but maybe kids don't pick it up as much because they
think it looks old.
Yeah.
I mean, that's possibly
That's my guess.
And I remember, like, I got a Dreamcast shortly after it launched, and getting it with Sonic Adventure, and Sonic Adventure being like, this is really pretty, but this is nowhere near the level of polish of Nintendo's platformers. Like it was no Mario 64 or Banjo.
And that's the thing is like, and that's the thing is like, I think you almost always have to qualify Sonic's platforming with it's never a Mario, but I mean, Sonic was a strong platformer back in the early 90s, and I still think that type of platforming strikes a chord with people today. It did with me. Like after I played it, and the other video guys will testify to this, but like I brought back the footage, which we have live on IGN right now, 7 minutes of gameplay. It's my gameplay. I downloaded Sonic 2 on my DS because it's on Virtual Console. I was like, I need this Sonic game. I was telling them like, right now it's only announced for PS4, PC, and Xbox One, but I was like, if you bring this to 3DS, I will play it so much.
Honestly, I think that's the ideal platform for it.
3DS or Vita, honestly.
Like the way that I played the original Sonic, the most of it was this browser-based game where you could play it, but it still worked exactly like it would on handheld, but I would just play it at school, like when the teachers weren't looking, I would have that up.
I mean, like every level is 2 or 3 minutes because you're running through it as fast as you can.
Did you guys ever play the BioWare RPG?
I did, Chronicles.
Yeah, it was for GBA, I believe. Yeah, BioWare made a
might have been
handheld
for DS,
RPG.
or maybe I played it on DS, so maybe it was they ported it though.
Yeah. It was pretty. I don't know. It was like it felt like a light Mario RPG, but it was really weird that for a Nintendo handheld, BioWare made a Sonic RPG.
That is really
it's
strange.
Actually good. Like the story's cool. The mechanics are deep. It's turn based. Like it's kind of. It's actually a pretty cool game.
That is really cool.
Yeah. Just weird that's a thing that exists.
Yeah.
And it's Sonic and all his friends, and you can choose who's in your party and stuff.
Made that.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
But I was actually really impressed with Sonic Mania. I actually cannot wait for it because like I said, I love Sonic growing up, and this is the Sonic I grew up with.
Yeah. And they're also working on a 3D Sonic game that they only showed like a brief tone piece trailer, but
interesting.
Also coming next year. Well, who's your favorite one of Sonic's friends?
Tails.
You
already knew that.
Knuckles.
What about Big the Cat?
I really like Tails.
Yeah.
Yep.
The last minor cool note about that was for the demo or on the floor they rigged it to play with Genesis controllers.
Oh, that's awesome!
So I played it with a Genesis controller.
That's really cool.
And I remember I held it and I was like, oh.
But I just can't get it out of my head that playing on the 3DS would just be.
That'd be perfect.
The best.
That'd be great. Yeah. That'd be great.
Did you hear that?
I really want that now.
Jonathan Sega. and your wife,
my man,
Linda Genesis.
That is wow. Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, I know. Shout out.
Please put that on the 3DS.
Another nostalgic trip we took was Duke Nukem 20th Anniversary Edition, which was announced at the show, and then I got to play about a half an hour of, which is, I'm really sad Ryan's not here for this.
Yeah. We did a conversation about this, and you said you really liked it.
Yeah, Dude, Ryan voices anyway? What is his Duke Nukem voice sound like?
His is a straight up
college Duke Nukem.
His is college Duke.
I can't do it if I don't have something to say.
I can't do it either.
I can only really do Duck Nukem very well. So.
I mean, Duck Nukem is just a sort of a version of Duke Nukem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gonna lay lots of eggs.
Quack, quack, quack. I'm a big dirty duck.
I'm a big dirty duck.
So dumb. So yeah, the 20th Anniversary Edition is it's coming to Xbox and PC and PS4 next month, and it takes the original classic game, which is 20 years old, which is terrifying, and then sort of it's not like an HD remaster, but it is touched up, and it does the same thing that the Halo 1 Anniversary Edition did, where you can click like toggle immediately from old style to new style, and it made me forget how good that game was as a shooter. Like, everyone always associates Duke with like, I went to a strip club and I peed and I flushed a toilet.
Yeah, so I've never liked Duke Nukem because the first time that I played it, I was very, very young and just found it kind of horrific.
Yeah.
Like, in a way that I was like, this is inappropriate, because I was like 7 or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like scared of it almost. So I always found Duke Nukem just like terrifying in a weird way. And it's like now I understand that it's all jokes, but like I do want to play it. I want to try it again and see like if there's weird parts that I remember. I just remember being like, this man is really mean, Mom.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like so tame now compared to other stuff.
Yeah,
like the strip club is just like, this isn't, what is happening here?
Just like a cute little strip club. Like, I played GTA.
Yeah, exactly.
Several strip clubs at this point.
Several entire
when I was
strip
7,
clubs.
nope, I was just hanging out with Banjo.
There's a strip club in Banjo-Tooie.
That's definitely
Bottles. That's where do you think Bottles goes when he goes underground? He goes to an underground strip club.
Nice.
Yeah. Chumbawamba's there.
Huh.
I don't think that's her name.
This is all lore that does not exist.
Hey, it exists in my notebooks.
In my fanfic.
Yeah, but one of the other things it also includes is that there's an entirely new episode that they made several new levels that are going to sort of in the old style, and they got back a lot of the original crew, and I got to play a level that took place in Amsterdam.
Wow, that's awesome.
Very cool.
You imagine Duke Nukem will get in trouble in Amsterdam. I can't talk about that yet because the embargo isn't up till next week, but I'll have thoughts on that. I did that thing you don't like.
I have thoughts on a thing.
Yeah. Some, maybe they're positive, maybe they're negative.
Maybe they're not.
Maybe they're neutral.
I can't wait to go back to Duke. I haven't played. I never played the what was Duke Nukem Forever? The one that came out recently, or I guess not as recently as we thought, a couple of years ago now. But
isn't that just truly atrocious?
Yeah, real bad Fuji.
Yeah. Didn't play it, but I heard not good things.
Real turd
but yeah, like my earliest memory, like I actually think that maybe Duke Nukem might be the first PC game I remember playing. I remember I'd go to my mom's, like, my mom is a doctor. She has like these work computers that were, for the early 90s, pretty robust, and I'd go hang out after school at her and wait for her to get off so that we could go home. And I would play on our work computers, and they had Doom on them.
Someone had, Doom.
Yeah. And like...
Doom makes sense.
Well, and Duke Nukem, and Wolfenstein, all of them. Like, all of those early 90s shooters were on these PCs.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Must have installed them.
Yeah, I mean, so I remember like playing all 3 of those games, and that was like my first introduction to Duke Nukem. I remember being like worried that like the patients in like the waiting room would hear or see like what was going on. I was just like trying to play it all quietly, and I remember just like not really understanding how good the movement and shooting was for that time.
Yeah.
Really groundbreaking.
Yeah. The 3D looking, like unlike Doom, you were actually looking up and shooting, and uses verticality well.
I think I've told the story before in this podcast, but when I was playing Wolfenstein: The New Order, my stepdad, who is 73, walked into the room, was like, "Is this Wolfenstein?" And I was like, "Yeah, how the hell did you know that?" And he's like, "I used to play Wolfenstein." I was like, "What?" Like, that is insane.
Did you show him like did you get to any of like the classic rooms?
No, that would maybe I tried, but that would have been really cool to show him. But he like immediately recognized it, and I think he like kind of remembered the name of the character or something. And I was like, it had never even occurred to me that he would have played Wolfenstein on PC. Like,
I think a lot of people dabbled in that stuff. Like I remember my uncle played Doom, and he didn't play games, but it was just like, look at this thing. Yeah, this is a novelty. I have a computer.
This is kind of fun.
Yeah, exactly.
My dad played a lot of games actually. Yeah.
You'd be surprised at how many of the older folk in our like sort of, I guess, in your families or stuff, were exposed to games just by virtue of being exposed to technology, because games ended up being a great demonstration for what the technology was capable of.
Yeah, that's true.
Like if you talk to Jared, like a lot of computer history is wrapped up in like text-based RPGs and stuff. Like it's so interesting that, I mean, a lot of people who are not gamers or you wouldn't think about as being gamers know about these things.
Totally.
It's so cool.
Have either of you ever played like text-based RPGs?
No,
I
haven't.
It's a little tough. But there's a couple. There are a couple iOS games that have come out recently that sort of are like fresh takes on that. They're really good.
So I played one. I don't even know if it actually counts as a text-based RPG. Probably. It's called Kingdom of Loathing.
Oh yeah, I've played that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I played a lot of that game to the extent that I got very, very rich. So it would be
In
like
real
I was.
life?
No, not
Congrats.
at all. Quite the opposite.
Oh.
I just had the currency in that game is meat, and I had tons and tons of meat. And it was actually because my username was accidentally slightly offensive, and I was in this like clan, and they kicked me out of the clan, and were like, just so you don't get mad, here's tons of money. So like by having a slightly offensive username, which wasn't intentional, I was way too young to know what the word that I wrote had even.
Can you tell us what it was?
I would prefer not to, but it was like accidentally offensive, and yeah, they just gave me tons and tons of meat, and then every time that I would show up in a chat room, people could see how much meat that I had, so they would just be super nice to me because I was so rich.
You're definitely telling us off air what it is.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. That's awesome.
I'm definitely saying
it's
what
not
it,
racist.
And then I'm definitely saying what it was
I
next
swear
week.
it's not
Absolutely
racist.
racist.
It's
It's 10,000% racist. One of the last things we did at PAX were Sean and I went to the ID at Xbox event at the Redmond campus where we got to check out a handful of pretty cool indie games. We have footage of a bunch of them on the site, and we're working out things with a couple other ones. Some of the highlights, you got to play Cluster Truck or see Cluster Truck.
Yeah, Cluster Truck is a really interesting thing. It's funny because it's one of those things where when you tell someone what it is, it sounds not fun at all. But basically, it's a platforming game where you have to run along the top of semi-trucks.
It's first person.
I think that
First
sounds
person
fun.
shooter.
Yeah.
But so the thing is, the trucks, like there's like hundreds of trucks, right? And they're all just going forward in the same direction, but they have these kind of like physics where if they bump into each other, they go off in crazy directions. And then if they bump into rocks or other sort of like elevation changes, they go crazy, and it becomes very difficult to just jump from one to the other all the way to the end. And then basically, yeah, after X amount of distance, you cross a finish line, and then you move on to the next level. And there's 6 or 7 levels per area, and then like 9 or 10 areas. So it's actually a pretty complex, like Super Meat Boy-esque type platformer, right? But yeah, it's first person. People just describe it as Mirror's Edge on the top of trucks.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
You have abilities like, so it gets really, really complex. One, the trucks become like, they start moving in all sorts of different directions, and if you fall off the top of the trucks, like you have a grappling hook to get back on, or like you can, for big jumps when the trucks start moving fast, you have like an activatable like slow motion ability that like just slows down time and everything around you real quick, so you can time the landing and stuff.
So how do you die?
By falling off the truck. Like
So-
if you touch the ground, you can only touch the trucks.
Okay.
Yeah, like if
Okay.
you touch anything but the trucks,
Floor is lava.
you lose.
But you said there was like a grappling hook to pull you back up?
Yeah, like if you're falling, so trucks
while
will
you're
like
falling.
Yeah, like trucks
Right,
will go
right,
off
right.
cliffs or something, but you have a lot of forward momentum, and if you overshoot the trucks, you can grappling hook back on,
Right,
or if
that's
you're
cool.
falling off, you can grappling hook
Yeah.
back on and
So
stuff
it's just
before you
super
touch the ground.
fast-paced?
Yeah, it gets really, really fast, and the trucks go crazy.
Yeah.
There's like I said, there will be parts where like trucks will bump into each other, and then one will like fall underneath the other one. They all go up, and you have to jump up and over, or through, or under, or like through little holes and stuff. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, watching a
that
dev
sounds fun.
play it was really cool.
Yeah, the
Because they're,
dev
like,
we
super
played
high
was
level.
really, really good at it, and he makes it look easy. And even he, like, toward on some of the other levels, was like, mistiming the sort of like the grappling hooks or the time slowing ability and stuff. But it seemed really, really interesting. We have footage of that. Me and Goldfarb went hands on with it. It is pretty hard, but it's one of those games where like you die so instantly and then restart so instantly that the
kinda
difficulty becomes
get
like
too
an
frustrating.
obsession.
Like
Yeah,
Meat Boy.
like you're just
Yeah.
like, it doesn't feel unfair ever. Like it feels hard, but fair.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's very much like a Super Meat Boy in that sense.
Yeah.
So that was
That
cool.
sounds awesome.
Yeah.
We also got to see the Sexy Brutale, which is by Tequila Works, who's the studio who's currently working on Rhyme, which was that really adorable
which we
cell-shaded
still haven't
Zelda
seen.
eco.
What is the deal with that? Do we know what happened with that game?
Yeah, they've been talking about it recently. It's no longer a Sony exclusive. Sony's not publishing it anymore, so that's good for people who have Xboxes.
Because I remember, like, didn't they reveal that during E3 like 3 years ago?
I believe it was
a
during
while ago.
Gamescom. 3 years
Gamescom.
ago.
Because I remember seeing the trailer and being like, that looks like something I want to play.
Yeah. How sexy is the Sexy Brutale?
Very sexy, but it's also by Cavalier. So it's these two studios. Cavalier is filmed from almost all ex-Lionhead
Oh,
people.
that's awesome.
So Sexy Brutale is this.
So is it like cheeky as well?
It's what I got wasn't cheeky. The way the game works is it's this murder mystery that takes place over the course of a small, finite amount of time in this mansion, and it's sort of Groundhog's Days, where you are reliving the same events over and over and changing different things and learning about sort of the butterfly effect of if I take the ammo out of a gun in the basement, this character who tries to kill the other character will fire and the gun won't go off.
Is your goal to save the person who dies?
Your goal is to save. There's everyone in the mansion is getting murdered by people, and so what you're trying to do is save as many as you can. But then there's certain things like, wait, by this gun going off, it alerts someone else in the mansion, and they change. So it's like, well, I want this gun to go off, but I don't want this character to die. So I need to figure out a way to do this without. I need to have the gun make the noise without firing the bullet.
So that's like some next level Hitman.
Yeah.
It's like if I do this, then this happens, then I can do this. That's
it's
cool.
about rewinding and sort of replaying these events, but it's also a Metroidvania in where you are getting new powers and unlocking new parts of the mansion. Andrew got to see it at Gamescom and he loved it.
That sounds
I got
so
to meet
cool.
them. Yeah, it sounds super cool. We're going to try to get a build and mess around with that. So I'm stoked about that.
Yeah.
We get to play Deformers, which is Ready at Dawn's new game. Ready at Dawn is the studio that did The Order 1886 for PS4.
And this game could not be more different.
And this game is a 8-player...
all right, that's already very different.
8-player Rocket League-esque game. Yeah.
Well,
except it was funny because like you all play kind of weird, different little roly characters that have like abilities to like you can grab onto the ball or whatever. I don't know. I watched you guys play and I didn't really understand what was going on, but it looked really cool.
I was very bad at it.
I really liked The Order. I was like the only person that liked that. I think.
Well, you're gonna love Deformers.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, it's very similar. This is The Order 1887. This is what happened the next year. We killed all
the younger brothers of Transformers.
Yeah,
just called them Deformers.
Deformers, yeah. The D stands for never mind. And then we also got to see Oceanhorn, which is this. It was this really cool iOS Zelda-like top-down Zelda game that is now coming to consoles, which is cool because I liked the game on iOS, but I just hated using touchscreen.
Yeah.
So now I don't got to do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, which is
These
cool.
all sound great.
Yeah, the event was cool.
I
Bunch
think
of a huge
stuff
swath.
is really good at the moment.
Yeah, I got to play the same Outlast demo that we played at Outlast 2 demo that we played
I'd really
at
like
PAX.
to have a new demo of that sometime soon.
Yeah.
I feel like that same one has been at 3 events now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we need to see more.
Yeah.
Which, and the game got delayed till next year. So.
Yeah.
Rip. Well, not rip. It's not. Didn't die. It's not
It's
Destin.
not dead.
It doesn't matter. That's just what people
It's
say
not
on the internet.
Deadston.
We do have a How Scary is Outlast 2, don't we? Or did we not manage to get that?
I think so.
I think we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't participate because I'd already played the demo.
I did anyway.
I was also very scared playing it on the show floor, which is very silly.
They actually, when we played it at PAX East at the start of the year, they actually recorded us playing it, and we didn't know that.
And then all of a sudden we saw a Facebook thing.
Yeah,
and
they
it was the two of
posted
us
on
screaming.
Facebook about screaming. It was like,
we also had to play
cool.
on the same TV in the same booth, and
Yes.
I think we had to split the headphones. Like we each had
we
one
did.
ear.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not an ideal way to play that, but there's cool gifs of us screaming. But if you also want to check out just like what that game is like, the How Scary is, those are always super well produced. I think
you want to see a lot of people scream.
Yeah,
very
basically
funny.
what happens.
Before we get into Q&A, we can talk about our IGN First for this month.
It is finally here.
Yeah.
And it is Tacoma.
It is Tacoma.
What's that, friends?
From the makers of Gone Home, it is a narrative. I guess how would you describe the split aspect of it?
Yeah, I mean it is. It's very it's familiar to Gone Home in terms of it's a first-person narrative-based exploration game.
Yeah.
It takes place on a space station called Tacoma.
Story-oriented, character-oriented.
But what it sort of takes the I don't want to say passive approach of storytelling of Gone Home and sort of adds an active element to it in which, like Gone Home, you enter the space station and these events have already occurred. Mm-hmm. It's abandoned and you have to figure out what the hell happened. But the space station has an AI that records, it recorded the 6 crew members. And you get to these moments where you sort of turn on this hologram and you see what the 6 crew members were doing for an extended period of time. And so sort of we have our first piece is a big 15-minute gameplay chunk, and you enter this sort of...
Which is basically the opening of the game.
Yeah, which is basically the opening of the game. And so you enter this area that has a kitchen and a dining room and sort of a billiards table and an office, and you start a 4-minute scene. And there are 6 characters, but they are wandering off and doing their own thing. Mm-hmm. So 2 characters are talking in the kitchen, 1 character has to take a phone call and goes into the office, and the scene is playing out in real time. Mm-hmm. And so you're choosing what to pay attention to, and being like, well, I want to see what these two characters are talking about in the kitchen.
Do you only get to do that once?
No, you are free to rewind, fast forward,
pause. That sounds just so weirdly similar to the Sexy Brutal.
Right? Which I'm totally fine with. I mean, thematically, the games could not be different, more different.
Yeah.
But it's really great because when a character pulls up sort of their AR, like holodeck, not holodeck, like a AR tablet.
Yeah.
If you're looking at them at that specific moment, you are able to sort of tap into that tablet and see what they were looking at that time.
See their emails a little.
So you see their emails, you see their correspondence, you get a little bit of backstory on everybody. And so it's about, they said that they were inspired by Sleep No More, which is this retelling of Hamlet that is in New York City, to where it is a live production that occurs over the span of 90 minutes in a hotel, where it is all the principles of Hamlet, and they're going through Hamlet, and they sort of don't acknowledge the audience. But you are free to go wherever you want in the hotel. And so you enter a bedroom, and these two characters are mid-scene, and they don't acknowledge you, but you're like, well, I didn't have any context for this, so I'm going to follow these two. And then they get into a fight and split up. And you're like, well, I'll follow the guy, or I'll follow the girl. But the thing is, you experience it 3 times in a row. So it's 90 minutes, and then it's a brief intermission, the same 90 minutes, and then a brief intermission, and then the same 90 minutes. But you are actively participating in where you want to go.
This is a real play?
This is a real play. It's called Sleep No More, that so many people have, like, Ken Levine has talked about how this is an inspiration.
That's incredible.
Yeah, Mitch saw it. I think we talked about it on the show like a year ago.
Wow.
It's really interesting because it's an easy, but I almost said no-brainer, because it's not really a no-brainer, but like the idea of concurrent storytelling is something that like video games have never done well, right? Like it's always this or that, right? Like you have the Paragon system or the Renegade system, and you have to choose one or the other.
In a
and you
Telltale
don't get to
game,
see,
you say yes or you say no.
Yeah, and you have to go through it. You have to play through again and make different choices in order to get the different story beats. Here, it's like you could watch one whole character's scene and then walk into another room, start the scene over, and watch exactly what was happening at the exact same moment that other scene was going on.
Yeah.
And because they're connected through this AI, this AI's recordings of the scene, you can kind of just like experience the whole game concurrently as you want to and at your own pace, and kind of pick up on what you want to as you go.
Yeah, and by seeing what these two characters are talking about, it adds context to something a character said before that you're like, I had no idea what that meant without this context.
That's really cool.
Super cool, yeah.
Yeah, it's a really interesting game, and like you said, it's kind of, in the way Steve Gaynor explained it to us, makes total sense. It is a natural evolution of what happens in Gone Home, which is like, you're exploring this house, you're trying to piece together what happened there by listening to audio recordings and picking up on environmental storytelling cues. Now you're doing the exact same thing, except you have control over those audio diaries, and you can listen to them concurrently or watch them concurrently.
Yeah, it definitely, it sort of, it zooms the camera out a little bit to where, Gone Home was pretty much about Sam Alani's relationship and then the parents' relationship, whereas this is 6 characters, how they're linked. There's a sci-fi element because it takes place on a space station. Yeah. There's an incident that occurs, and you're trying to figure out what the hell happened when this incident happened.
I'm already very interested.
Well, that's the thing is like I said it to Steve when we were up there, but like after that first 15-minute chunk, I was very interested in what happens because watch the gameplay chunk if you want to get the sense of it. But like you said, essentially, the character that you play arrives on this space station knowing that, one, the crew has been evacuated and there was some issue that caused that to happen, and immediately that first gameplay chunk ends with kind of the incident happening, but it's scrambled. You don't get a clear look at it.
First moment, and you're just like, well, I don't know what's happening here.
Yeah, like it presents you with a problem, and then presumably the rest of the game is figuring out how that problem affected the crew and how they dealt with it.
Does it have the same spooky element?
I wouldn't call it spooky. It's unsettling. Though.
Yeah, it's totally unsettling. And any AI, you're just like, well, I don't trust
see,
this.
that's the thing is like, I said it to Steve. I do not trust that AI.
But in the same time, Gone Home spooky, but there are no ghosts.
Well, what was that game we were playing the other day?
Event Zero?
Event Horizon.
No, Event Zero, I believe it was called. Event Bracket Zero. The thing we did a Let's Play of.
That seems right, but that was the exact same thing. It was like, I don't trust this AI at all.
I've never trusted an AI in anything.
Never trust AI. That was actually a weirdly similar thing.
Right.
Yeah, so, I mean, the gameplay chunk is really interesting. We'll be covering the game all month. We have a lot of really cool features.
Yeah, we have video features. We have sort of making-ofs, impressions. Steve and Carla, who are the co-founders of Fulbright, came from Minerva's Den. So they worked on the Minerva's Den DLC for BioShock 2, which is my actual favorite BioShock thing. And we have a sort of a big Let's Play of that. A bunch of stuff throughout the month.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Do we have a release date for Tacoma yet?
I believe they are aiming for early 2017, or early-ish 2017. Cool. That'll be cool.
This will be a game that I think it's not for everyone. Gone Home wasn't for everyone. Yeah. But like for people who are really interested in a game that does something different.
Yeah.
It's going to be right up your alley.
Yeah, it does something different and it does something well. So
yeah, it's very character oriented. It's an engrossing story, and I think it's going to be really cool for people to play that.
Agreed. Mm-hmm. We did it. Alana.
Hey.
Hi. What's up?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm fine.
Cool.
You want to read some questions?
Yeah.
Q&A.
So we did a Q&A last time Ryan was out, and we have obviously a very slow week this week, so we thought that we would do it again. We promise we'll do it every time we get a new 5,000 subscribers on YouTube, but we'll also just do it some kind of off weeks because you guys ask questions all the time.
Yeah.
So
And we like to answer them.
yeah, they're fun.
And you can ask questions in numerous places, such as facebook.com/group/podcasts unlocked
and youtube.com/IGN unlocked.
and myspace.com/Tom.
Yes. Please direct them to myspace.com/Tom. The first one is from Matt Anderson. How do y'all decide who gets to go to different events? For example, why is one of the co-hosts of Podcast Beyond not going to a PlayStation event?
This is a lot of factors, right?
Yeah.
It's
How much
scheduling,
you've
it's
traveled.
availability, it's travel, like how much that person has traveled.
Because we try not to wear anyone out too
Yeah.
much.
It's also our travel budget. Like
also-
you can't
and
spend.
what you have experience in, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Sean and I went to the Tacoma trip because, I mean, I'm a big fan of first
You
person.
reviewed Gone
I reviewed
Home,
Gone Home,
yeah.
and I knew Steve and the team, and Sean and I had
Yeah.
made a bunch of making ofs together. So
It's just like what you can be used for,
yeah,
basically.
And whereas Ryan went to this because Ryan is much more of a hardware expert
cares
than
about
any of
console
us.
hardware.
Yeah, like I mean, I've said it before a bunch of times. I'm like, hardware isn't really my jazz,
yeah.
and
If
that's
they sent me to that, I wouldn't really know what to do.
yeah. Whereas
He
Ryan,
also-
Ryan reviewed the Xbox One S,
Yeah.
and he will probably review the not the Neo. Why do we keep calling it the Neo?
PlayStation
If you
Pro.
look at it, also go look at Ryan's Twitter right now, or if you're watching this days later, scroll back a little bit because I'm sure he will have tweeted a lot in the meantime. But like he asks really like tech heavy questions. Like he found out that like it supports a particular type of Dolby digital audio
Yeah.
and not another type. And it's
Yeah.
like I wouldn't have ever thought to ask that.
Yeah, I think Ryan's just like the perfect person to send at that kind of event. And then like, I'm going to New York Comic Con because it's a lot of cosplay and I cover cosplay at IGN. It's like it's just whoever is good for something, also not worn out, and then also budget.
Yeah, and we don't
Yeah.
send people that don't make like we're sending Miranda and Jose to TGS because they both cover tons of Japanese stuff.
Yeah.
We sent Callie to Call of Duty XP because she's
Like
probably
the-
our biggest
Also Nintendo
Call of Duty
World
stuff.
fan.
World
Yeah.
Championships was
Yeah, we don't
Miranda.
we don't throw anyone sort of out of their element. I mean, sometimes you do have to play something where you're like, well, I'm the only person here, so I got to play this
Yeah.
thing. But generally, like we're not going to.
We had Alex Solomita host a FIFA segment or something.
Really?
Was, or a
Like
Madden
sports-
segment or
yeah.
something. Yeah. At Gamescom.
Yeah, we're never gonna throw someone who's like, I hate Pokemon. Well, you're reviewing the new Pokemon game. It's like, no, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah,
We're
I
gonna get
kind of
people.
want to point out, like, regarding that question, that our editorial team is probably smaller than you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, there's very obvious fits for certain things, and we don't have enough people that we could be like, well, there's 4 options for this.
Yeah,
That's not really.
Yeah, we
a
don't
thing.
have a dedicated tech team anymore.
Yeah.
I would say like our content team total worldwide is about 60 or 70 people, I think, right? And not all those people are here in San Francisco.
Yeah, a lot
like
of them
we
are in
have
LA,
UK
Australia,
team, LA,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
Australia. So yeah, it's probably a little bit smaller than you think. But our editorial team, like to their credit, is really good. Like they're very strong generalists. Like everyone has a lot of experience with everything.
Yeah.
Some people fit better with some things. Other people fit better with other things.
Yeah,
but
we
by and large,
have to sort of hire a jack of all trades. Like we can't
Yeah.
really hire specialists
Someone who
anymore in
just does one
2016.
thing. Yeah.
And we don't
Yep.
have we don't have console teams anymore. Like this
Yeah.
isn't the days when Ryan and Mitch were the Xbox guys and Greg and Colin were the Sony guys. Like
Yeah.
we don't have that. We have people that Ryan will always be an expert on Xbox, but he's
Microsoft.
also our executive editor of previews, and so he has
Yeah.
relationships with literally every publisher.
Yeah.
So yeah, to answer your question, it's a combination of who's the right person to cover the content editorially, who's available and not tired,
Yeah.
and then what we can manage as far as travel budgets to make our resources go
Yeah.
the distance that they need
Yeah,
to.
and I think Ryan was the best person to go.
Yeah, I
for
agree.
this.
Yeah.
We had a
Makes sense.
producer a while back, I think. Well, you were still at One Up, and this was before you, Tyroot,
Mm-hmm.
who said, "You know what? I want to do all the live events. I won't do anything in house. I'll just go to every single event." And after 1 year, he was dead.
Yeah.
But he made it a whole year.
Way
Yeah.
too much. That's crazy.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
That was my 2014.
Robert Rosen asked, what was the best movie of the summer?
The Nice Guys. The end.
Does Cloverfield count as summer?
Ish. Close enough.
This is a
That was a really
tough
good movie.
call.
Yeah. 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah.
That's my favorite movie so far this year still.
Was Nice Guys a summer movie?
I think so.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
I think it was,
Nice Guys was very good.
I think it was June.
I think May counts as summer movies, right? So I would have said, I think I call Everybody Wants Some, the Richard Linklater movie. Loved it. Best movie of the year so far. But I haven't seen Hell or High Water yet. So
yeah, Zach was just saw it last night. He loved it.
Yeah, I mean, Hell or High Water, it's not a movie that you traditionally see nowadays. It's like a straight up middle of the seat hardcore drama, character oriented, but it's got a great cast and everyone says it's really, really good. I haven't seen it yet, but I really want to because I guess it's quietly becoming one of the best films of the year.
That's awesome.
We saw Kubo the other day.
Yeah, that was really sweet.
A lot of people pointed out that this summer in particular has been a big disappointment as far as the AAA blockbuster movies go.
Yeah. But I thought like there was a lot of like, if you dig deep enough, like I really like Zootopia, I really like Pete's Dragon.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, I actually think maybe if 10 Cloverfield Lane doesn't count as summer, I feel like it might have been earlier in the year. Then I think it would be Zootopia would be my pick for that.
Those two are very similar.
Zootopia was great. I think once you start to, I think the more you, I liked Zootopia a lot, and I think the message was really cool. I think that it's a little overrated because once you pull the message out of the world of Zootopia, it doesn't exactly apply the way that I think they wanted it to apply. Right?
Yeah, but
like the whole predators versus like not predators thing, like the reason they're predators is because they do eat other, like in nature they do eat not predator animals, right? The metaphor doesn't hold up.
Saying that the movie is overrated because that part doesn't hold up seems insane to me.
No, but
such a good movie.
No, and I agree with you. I loved the movie. I thought it was really good. But part of what people hailed it for was that its message was like a timely sort of social message.
I don't think it was trying to tell you about predators, though. It was like commentary on racism. I don't think it was trying to be
exactly it, though,
like
right?
there wasn't meant to be a direct parallel because in that universe they weren't actually predators.
But that's what I'm saying is like. They are, though, in real life. If you're trying to
racist. No.
See, that's all I'm saying.
Hey, you have to say your name. You have to say our Kingdom of Loathing name.
If the metaphor, all I'm saying is, if the metaphor is to be extrapolated from the movie to real life and be kind of like this conveyance, it doesn't exactly hold up.
I mean, I liked it. Right. I liked it, regardless of the message. I thought it was a fun.
Not a word, but yes.
Irregardless. Words are jazz. Words are jazz.
No, you're right.
I really hate that unrelatedly isn't a word.
You can say it. You're right.
I do.
You're right.
I'll be like,
you're fine.
Unrelatedly?
Yeah.
How is that not a word? It is an outrage.
Well, and I'm really excited about the next question.
The next question comes from Michael Steinmetz, who said, who is your favorite character on Lost? And the correct answer is Desmond.
That was part of the question.
Mine
also
is
the correct answer.
Kate.
I like Kate a lot.
Really?
Yes.
I'm rewatching Lost right now. I like Kate a lot. I like Jack a lot. I like Desmond a lot.
Did you write this question?
I like Daniel Faraday
a lot. Did you make
a
a fake account?
No, I didn't.
This question
I didn't. I mean, I chose it. I was biased when I chose it.
So why is Kate your favorite?
Because I don't really remember anyone else. I feel like she had very cute freckles, and she seemed like a nice lady.
She murdered someone, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but her dad was awful. He was like an abusive rapist.
Oh, okay. I can
burned him alive,
that.
though.
Well,
blew his house up.
Burned him alive.
I can respect that.
Yeah.
If he was a rapist, that's cool. That's chill. I like Hurley, I think. Is that the...
Hurley's adorable, yeah. I mean, Desmond's incredible. Like, all of his stuff with Penny is so good. Daniel Faraday's super cool because I like time travel. I think Ben Linus has a really cool character arc. Mr. Echo was cool until he got a DUI on the island and got kicked off the show like every one of the other
Is that really what happened?
Him, Michelle Rodriguez, and Cynthia Watros.
So I remember,
all three of them were tail section people, got killed off within one season because all three of them got DUIs.
I remember the Michelle Rodriguez thing. I don't remember the Echo. Well, I don't remember the Echo thing being publicized. I was going to say
just made that up.
My favorite character is definitely Mr. Echo, and when he dies, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
That was kind of when I was like, I'm not so invested in this show anymore. I love the story of like the man who's done terrible, terrible things in his life and has betrayed many people, and who, by all accounts, was like this terrible human who now looks at his time on the island as like a path of atonement.
Yeah.
And like him paying for his sins. Mm-hmm. Like, I love that. And like the story with his brother who was the really actual priest. Like, even now, I didn't finish the show, although for the first 2 seasons I was a huge fan of it. The part where like he goes back and finds the plane and his brother's body and like it's clearly his brother's body because of the priest's cloth and stuff. Like, I well up with tears, man. It's such an emotional moment, especially for that character and like what it means to him, the significance of that moment. Like, man, that's storytelling to me at its best. And like, I think I just unfortunately think it went all downhill from there.
False.
Gabriel Rodart asked, can the whole asking for questions be a normal thing?
Sure.
Well, I feel like it doesn't actually make sense for the format of the show when we have trivia. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like having those two things on the end would be kind of silly. But, yeah, like I said before, we are totally planning to do it every time we hit a subscribers milestone on YouTube. Or if Ryan's not here. So, yeah, it will be kind of normal.
See?
It's a thing that we'll be doing.
Have Ryan sent to events if you want Q&A.
Yes.
I would say, can the whole asking thing be a normal thing? Sure, you can always ask.
Yeah.
We may not always answer.
And also, we answer questions on I think all of us are in the YouTube comments of episodes. So
yeah, also follow us on Twitter. Yeah, I answer questions there all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As I'm sure you two do as well.
Mm-hmm. Bodo Campus said, first date advice.
Don't. Just don't.
I can't really. I don't really know.
They're going to leave you.
I feel like... So, I think dates where you do an activity is a very good idea. If you're going on a first date with someone and you're either eating or you're seeing a movie, it's like you're forced into an awkward situation where you have to talk. And I think if you're like two young people, it's better to like go bowling or do something active, like
something where you're always going to have something to comment on because there's always an action.
You're like doing something together rather than just sitting somewhere and being forced to converse, and it's kind of unnatural.
Yeah, I agree with that for first dates. Like, I feel like down the road, I love movie dates of going to a movie and then going to a bar and talking about the movie.
Totally.
Like, that's incredible.
I don't think it's a good first date, though.
No.
I just feel like it's not.
It's like a good fourth date. 40th. 400th. Starts with a 4.
All right. Yeah.
400 dates. That's a lot of dates.
Yeah, that's too many. It sounds expensive.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would have said dinner and a movie is a great first date.
You screwed up. Obviously, it also depends on the person. Like,
also,
who are you
going
on a date with?
Like, I was gonna say, for the reason you say it's not a good date or not a good first date, I would call it a great first date because, like, I don't know that I would want to find out 4 or 5 dates later that this isn't the type of person who I can just talk to and not have to do anything with, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think
I feel like it's just not fun.
What?
Well,
a dinner date. Just like,
I mean, it depends if you
like
have
an interview.
If you have the chemistry.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, like, I don't think that you should be so concerned with, like, filling every moment of silence with interesting conversation. Like, you should, at least, if you're going to be able to date this person long term, be able to share some silences or be able to be not entirely on all the time, performing, right? And be somewhat natural in order to feel and have their natural state also complement yours. I think feeling that out is kind of...
It's also a good point.
Yeah, it can go either way is what I'm saying. I personally like to do dinner and a movie because... One, I like food, and generally most people that I take out on dates also like food.
I think most people like food, yeah.
And then
I
also...
That's a safe assumption.
I also... this might be selfish, but I think that, when I've taken women out on dates, I tend to choose a movie that I think that they would not regularly see, and so that the date becomes more memorable because they remember the movie. Like,
oh, it's a strategy?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I get that.
Like, I'm a big movies guy, and I'm trying to impress, so I think that by choosing a cool movie that they're going to remember or find interesting or intellectual or entertaining at least.
Does that mean that you've seen the movie before you go?
Not necessarily, but like sometimes, sure. I see movies by myself a lot. I also see movies that are good multiple times in theaters with different groups of people.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy the conversation and hearing their perspectives. So, I mean, like, there's all sorts of different weird things to consider.
I think that the number one rule when it comes to dating is that everyone is different.
Yeah, I mean,
because if someone ever asks me to go to a movie on a first date, I'll be like, no.
Yeah, I was to say, like, there's so much different advice you can give for a first date, but I think if I was to sum it all up with, like, the best thing you could do is just, like, put your best foot forward, you know? Like, don't be afraid. You enjoy. Yeah, don't be afraid to amp it up a little bit, be a little bit more, like... I wouldn't say a performance because you're not pretending, but like you are trying to show them the best part of yourself.
You should stage a mugging and then protect your significant other from the mugging.
It's actually, unfortunately, not a terrible idea.
Okay. Also,
really? This is a terrible idea.
Also, do not go to your cousin's funeral for a first date.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
All right. Ash Sanini said, what was it like to meet your hero Banjo at PAX? We met Banjo and Kazooie. Mm-hmm. And it was one of the proudest moments of my life. Yeah.
Felt like a proud father.
Yeah. So we had a Nintendo 64 panel, and Banjo cosplayer showed up. I think her name was Dana or Dana.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, don't remember, but she. It was a freaking incredible cosplay.
Yeah, and that's because Kazooie was like a big puppet.
Yeah.
Like, she was in the banjo costume, and then she had Kazooie as a puppet.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really
It
cool.
was just so awesome.
If you haven't seen the pictures, both Alana and I posted on everything, Instagram and everything, so just follow us.
That's one of the things that I love about cosplay and why I started cosplaying is you see a cosplay of a character that you love, and that moment of joy is so intense. I always get that if I see Ganondorf every single time. I'm like terrified. I am always scared of Ganondorf cosplayers, but I'm always like, oh, that's the best. And it's like the exact same with that banjo. I think like one of the first times it happened for me was just Goku. It was just like, I love that so much. It's just so exciting. So she was a super awesome cosplayer. Shout out to, I'm pretty sure her name was Dana. I'm so sorry if I got that wrong. But it was absolutely amazing to meet our hero Banjo.
And check out the rest of our cosplay coverage from PAX that Sean did most of the work on. Videos, galleries.
Yeah, that was hard.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Yeah.
And man, some of the cosplay is so cool. Like, I don't know. Like, a lot of the comments were about this pairing of characters, Lothric and some other, I don't know, some big dude in armor and then a littler prince person on his or her back. I don't know. I shouldn't have even brought it up. It's in the gallery and it's in the video.
Oh, it was
really intricate.
The Master
cosplay.
Chief and Cortana.
I really liked the 7'2" Master Chief.
That was the other thing is,
so cool.
Yeah, the other thing that I saw when we were on the floor was an enormous Master Chief. And you guys
literally over
saw,
7 foot.
He's 7'2".
Yeah, so I remember a huge crowd of people and me being like, who is, oh my God, because he stands like head and shoulders literally above the rest of the crowd.
He's a scale Spartan.
And the armor itself was very intricate, like super well done. Sometimes like Master Chief's, like you can tell like it's made out of like, paper mache or something like this. This looked like actual metal armor. And then the size definitely sold it, right?
Yeah,
like
he was literally a 2-scale Spartan.
I've seen other Master Chiefs that are really good, but the size is just...
Yeah. Have you seen that concept art? It's like just a Spartan suit and a bunch of scientists kind of standing around it. It's like one of my favorite, I guess, concept art things ever. And it's just the scale of the scientists compared to the Master Chief suit. It's like, it's so cool. It's
that is the coolest thing about it to me. It was like in my head, because you always know from the games that like Chief's a big dude. He's like 6'7" or 6'8", 7'2" or 7'3" in the armor.
Yeah.
Like this dude is supposed to tower over people. And then when you see that in real life, he feels so much bigger.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
Like in the cosplay video, you'll see it's the second cosplay video I did from PAX West, but it's the first shot. I'm a pretty tall dude. I'm 6'1". I'm holding the camera at face level, so about 6 feet high, and he walks right by me and he looks down and gives me a thumbs up into the camera, like at about this height. Like it gives you a real sense for how big this guy is, and it was real cool.
Yeah.
Dude was drawing crowds everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. We were in an elevator with him at one point, and it was very odd because he's giant.
Yeah.
Very intimidating. It was really cool though.
Yeah.
Next question is Ricky Webb: hot pizza or cold pizza?
Both. That's fine.
Well, I definitely prefer hot pizza,
Yeah,
but
hot
I also
pizza.
like cold pizza.
Yeah.
They're both good. They're varying degrees of good.
Yeah.
Yes. Pizza is good.
But I prefer hot
Makes
pizza.
me very sick. Howard Xander Shelfer: I'm at Applebee's for lunch, and they are playing Sugar Ray. What are some of your favorite or most memorable Sugar Ray moments? What
Are there
is
Sugar Ray
Sugar Ray's
moments?
a
It's a band from like the late 90s? Yeah.
Yeah. You if I played a Sugar Ray song, I probably played it at trivia literally every week.
There's just the one.
No.
What's the song?
There's Every Morning. Then there's another one.
Can you sing it?
We'll get a copyright strike.
That's fine.
I have perfect pitch.
Just do like I think it's under 5 seconds and you're fine.
Every morning.
Oh yeah, I know that song. Yep.
Crushed it. Perfect pitch.
And copyright strike.
I just chose this because I thought that was a very funny question.
I'm gonna say my favorite Sugar Ray moment is when what's his name? Mark
McGrath.
Mark McGrath shows up in season 9 of The Office as like
that was great. Yeah.
The a cappella celebrity host or whatever, and then he's like, he tells all the audience people like the rules of the show, and then he's like, oh, and he's like, and keep an eye out for that mole, and then the producers radio him, and he's like, oh, no mole. No, you're not supposed to know that yet. There is no mole.
That was really good.
It's really good.
Also, what's Applebee's?
Applebee's is just a real bad chain restaurant.
Cool.
It's like a sit down. It's like Sizzler.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is either?
I know, and we have Sizzler here.
Yeah, it's like that.
It's like the Outback
really
Steakhouse.
good bread at Sizzler in the U.S. The
What?
cheesy bread.
Oh,
Dude, bread at Sizzler, especially, and it's like it's the only reason people like Sizzler is for the cheesy bread.
I don't think I've been to a Sizzler.
It's so good.
I actually probably never been to a Sizzler
This is why you keep getting sick.
or an Applebee's.
You need to stop eating cheese. But it's so
But it
delicious.
makes everything
I had
taste
pizza
good.
today.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right. Is that a wrap?
We did good.
We do the thing?
Yeah, we did good. I'm proud of us.
Ryan will be back next week, but Sean and I won't be here.
Yes, we have a very special trip.
So the week
That's about all we can say.
Oh, yeah. That's next week?
That is next week.
That's cool. Well, that's cool. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Alana, where can we find you?
I am at Charlanazad on all of the social medias.
That's cool. Sean, where can we find you?
I'm at Shop by Finnegan, also on all of the social medias, but check out my Instagram and my Twitter.
And I don't want any of you to follow me, so I'm not going to tell you where you can find me.
McBiggity, 2 G's, 2 T's.
Shut up. Everyone shut up.
We're very good friends.
Thank you guys very much. That was Podcast Unlocked, episode 262, which is an actual palindrome, and I can't believe I didn't scream that out right away.
Oh my God, it is a palindrome.
I'm very proud of us.
Congratulations.
We done it.
We found a real one for once.
Ryan will be back next week. We'll see you all then.
Oh, actually,
also,
we should give a shout out to the animated thing.
Oh, yes, exactly. Yeah, that's going to be up on our YouTube probably by the time this goes live.
So someone took our dramatic reading of the Quantum Break script. That was Marty, I, and Mitch.
Right?
That was literally Mitch's last episode.
It was Mitch's last episode. R.I.P. We miss him dearly. Yeah. And we are going to be posting that on the YouTube Unlocked.
Yeah, vamp real quick. I'm trying to find.
Ooh, that's awesome.
It's really cool. It's like just part of the animated script. It's really well done.
Yeah,
it's
I remember.
So we've got two animated things on there. Matt Ringstead.
He's at _horse on Twitter. Yeah, super cool. So this is the second time he's done it. Sean's posted the first one.
Yeah.
Oh, same guy?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Really cool.
Especially because, again, just to recap, if you didn't play Quantum Break, there's a hidden screenplay in parts in that written by one of the employees of the megacorp that are kind of the bad guys in that. And it's so poorly written, deliberately so that it's really funny.
Yeah.
And I guess I wasn't here for that episode, but you all did a dramatic reading of it.
Yeah, and the guy who wrote it tweeted it out and stuff.
Yeah, the actual writer read me. Yeah, that was super cool.
Yeah, it was really, really cool.
So check that out. That's on our YouTube channel. And then also shout out to anyone who came up to us and said hi during PAX. That was awesome.
Yeah, totally.
Anyone who came to the meet and greet, anyone who came to the panels, anyone who just stopped us in the hallway.
Everyone was so nice.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun, and I want to give a shout out to Kevin, the guy who bought us all a round of drinks there, just to be a nice guy.
What were those called? Solid Snakes?
Solid Snakes.
They were quite nice.
Yeah, they were like little spicy boys.
Yeah, they were very spicy.
Yeah. Put a couple of those spicy boys.
Just like Solid Snake. Real spicy boy.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, it was super fun. And
I thought that was the end of the episode.
I'm at New York Comic Con. You're going to be at New York Comic Con.
I will also be there, yep.
I'm also going to GamerX if anyone's in the Bay Area. That's a thing that's at the end of the month. So hopefully we'll see you around at some more conventions before the year is out.
And always come up and say hi.
Of course, always.
1 out of 10 times we'll scream at you.
It's exciting because you don't know which time it will be.
But we'll scream at you about strange things. Bye, guys. Don't take a first date to your cousin's funeral.